We'll do that bit after.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to run through this plan I got, and I want to check that it meets all of the goals we have in mind. Given that a lot of our goals aren't concisely written down, and we discover them as we go.
Yep.
Okay. So, crypto is shit.
Expensive.
I don't know why I ever
yeah.
thought crypto was cool. And I don't know why I ever thought we needed to have crypto into the Dreamcatcher. The concept of the Dreamcatcher, I still believe it needs a blockchain, but I do not believe it needs a crypto at all.
I agree 100%. Yeah.
And yeah, we can talk about later why we were so infatuated with supporting it, but maybe it was to do with the illegality of it all.
And we're both slightly anarchistic, so we don't like the big man. But when you compare it with,
I don't like being told what to do. But then again, our customers we can't push that on them. So
yeah.
And anyway, this Wise.com platform, having had a play around with it, read through its API documentation, used its app, sent some money around the places, tests and all that, seems really good. Second point, we were already talking about in the Dreamcatcher using identities or KYC and AML because we actually wanted identities to make sure people behave themselves.
Yes. Yeah, correct.
We knew that there would be an overhead or a burden for doing KYC and AML. And what I want to propose is that we run the Dreamcatcher. The Dreamcatcher is a piece of software. We need on-ramps to get that going. The thing that seems to piss everyone off about, or that's classed as misbehaving using cash, is when you can't censor or freeze people's funds, when you can't trace what happened and when you can't freeze it. When I look up the definition of cryptocurrency, it says that it's an asset that cannot be frozen or regulated. And that's actually the property that makes it undesirable to law-abiding organizations.
And it's also dubious about whether that's accurate, the second one. It can be regulated. Whether it's regulated yet is a different matter.
Yeah, but what I want to propose is that we say that to join the Dreamcatcher, you have to have a Wise.com account, and that we only accept transfers direct from Wise.com. When you do the transfers inside of Wise.com, they are several seconds away from each other. They're instantaneous. If it's Wise account to Wise account, they have handled all the AML, the KYC, the proof of source of funds. They've handled all that.
Right. So we're essentially outsource it to their policy and process. Effectively, that's
we're basically, yeah.
Yeah. I don't see any drawbacks on that one, except that that's just one portal. Others could set up other portals should they feel like it.
Well, I think what we would end up forming is an enclave where there would be a currency inside of our enclave that was, say, US dollars, just to pick one, but it's our version of US dollars, i.e. we control it because we set the rules around it. Like, we won't let you send it to not a Wise account. You basically, you put the flow works that we can open a Wise business account. That business account is capable of receiving and sending thousands of payments in an automated fashion. The members of the Dreamcatcher, if you want to put some money into a project, you need to fund your Wise account past the checks and balances and whatever, and then send it to our company account. Then, in exchange, we will give you Dreamcatcher USD or a representation on our basically platform credits. Now, there's rules on that. You can't send that money to anyone else, right? All you can do is withdraw it, in which case we'll send you back the USD that you already sent to us. We then say that if you escrow those funds, you're going to say something?
No, carry on. I will, but at the end of your sentence.
Yeah. You escrow those funds, and then if we go to pay out to a worker, the worker has to have a Wise account, and we send to his or their Wise account from our Wise business account. So there's no members sending money directly to each other. You put your money into the platform. We issue you platform credits.
Yes.
You can only withdraw that back to yourself, or in exchange, you can exchange it for work to be done to someone else who can then redeem those platform credits as Wise US dollars for themselves.
Yeah, that works. Now, what's to stop us doing a rug pull? Except, law. But essentially what we're saying is we've got an account with Wise. Now, by Wise, there could be many payment processors. It could be Revolut or whoever. And we're saying we're setting up a...
No, I think not. I think not. I think we say that it is specifically one. Like, if you want to set up another one, then, like, it would still allow others to make different enclaves, and anyone can read the state of our system, and people can set themselves up as brokers where they can, exchange you some dollars maybe, but it's sort of like, it's a very restricted, there's a lot of rules around the money that moves there, and it's for our protection and the customer's protection. And I think it should be just one processor, because it gets complicated when we want to send between processors, because each processor needs to know, like, the documentation of the other side.
Sure. However, we're not the overlords of this. If someone else wants to set up a different processor, then crack on. But the work that you're escrowing is got to be inside of the perimeter of those accounts.
The movement of our platform credits are entirely controlled by us, and you trust that it works because of our reputation and because of the legal entity that we are. So if we incorporate a company in Hong Kong, and then we get a business account to that company in Hong Kong, people have a target to chase if someone steals some money or does a rug pull.
Right.
So it's like, well,
Yeah. So there's a couple of things there. The first one is I'm not sure we run that. I don't know if I asked that question correctly. We're not the be all and end all. So others could come and set up whatever they want. They could have some dude giving out gold kugarans, by hand, for all we care. But that's like a perimeter, and so if you're acting within that perimeter, if you want to do work within that perimeter, you need the account, or you need whatever information is required in that perimeter. We're setting up the first.
Well, not even that. It's like the information in the chains are completely public. So it's really only if you want to deposit funds in our enclave or withdraw funds from our enclave, you have to have the Wise account. That's all.
Right.
Anyone else can make a different set of money with a different set of rules. Someone could make a cryptocurrency version that just overlaid on top of ours.
Yeah, that's the point I was making. So effectively, we've got the first pool. Others can set up pools. Crack on. That's great. A pool needs an escrow, and we're saying our escrow is Wise. We've got a business account.
I don't think we're even saying that we control the pools. Okay. The pools can be run across multiple enclaves.
Oh no. Sorry. Let me. We control the pool. There's only one at the moment. That's our pool. We set up a pool. Others can set up pools if they want. And any pools.
But the pool that we make can be even looser controlled than the currency. It's only the currency that needs to be controlled. The pool can be open to anything, but it's if you're going to use our currency in it, we control how our currency moves.
Yeah. I'm doing a poor job of explaining this, but yes, I agree.
So, for example, the pool that we make, the initial pool, could very well allow for people to deposit cryptocurrency tokens as funding, and the Wise tokens could coexist with the crypto tokens in the same pool, but the Wise tokens would never be able to mix or be exchanged by anyone for the crypto tokens. All the money can mix, but it maintains its integrity while doing so.
So in the similar way, we've created the first of hopefully many pools, and this is our pool. Our pool is largely defined by the QA, and that QA is multiple, could be multiple. The escrow of that pool, given the governance of that pool, could be multiple, but we're choosing Wise. Others could choose to set up a separate pool with different QA, with different escrow. But if you want to do business inside of requests and ideas that are inside of our pool, we're saying you need to get a Wise account, because that's the mechanism that we are choosing for escrow. But there could be an alternative, completely nothing to do with us.
Yeah, look, yes, I agree with everything you're saying, except I think it's important to point out that we can open up our pool to other types of currency without breaking the Wise requirements. Wise prohibits sending to platforms that deal in cryptocurrency. We can make pools that contain whole ranges of different types of currencies.
Yeah.
So long as the Wise currency never mixes in terms of never gets exchanged for any other currency, you can still call it the same pool.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
And it can be run by not us.
Absolutely, because you've got that negotiation step. And that negotiation step involves what I'm going to do. Here's the idea. The idea targets a request, and something goes into escrow for that. It's the escrow piece that you agree. Now, if you've got a selection of escrow facilities, perhaps it's Wise, perhaps it's...
No, it's not even that. It's not even that. The escrow facility's reliability is based on two things. Number one should be the code execution of the blockchain that guaranteed you that the escrow was being held correctly.
Yep.
But the second thing is that's sort of not really the escrow part, but the escrow does implicitly rely on it, is that does this token actually have any value underneath it at all? And the Wise Wise gateway is the thing that guarantees you that there is some value underneath it at all. It does not necessarily have bugger all to do with the escrow mechanism, because that's supposed to be blockchain based.
Yes, I see what you're saying. It's what's the validity of the payment portal?
Like how Tether works, like USD Tether.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that, except it's we're just stricter on what you can do with a Wise token. We're much stricter, and we're in full
Yeah.
compliance with Wise. We're not trying to make it a regulation-free US dollar. We're saying no, it's extraordinarily strict what you can do with this token.
Right. Right. But
But the escrow is code. The escrow mechanism is code, and it can be applied with any other token on the platform. The only real thing that matters is, did the pool moderator allow it in there in the first place?
yeah,
And then did the funders and the workers agree to use it
That's the
as
point.
the exchange of value?
That,
And
that's
that's it.
exactly the point. That's exactly the point. And so a pool could have multiple a menu of options about what's your medium of exchange.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
seeing Wise. Others may find a better way.
Right.
Someone turning up with turnips. All right.
That's the now that we've sort of settled on that as the key functionality of what this company does.
Yeah.
The company itself ought to be not really running for profit. I mean, obviously it needs to have a bit more just to make sure it's got some safety in there, but really it should run at zero profit because it's
I agree. I agree, because really all the company is doing is giving a vector of legal responsibility, and that vector, all they're doing is a pass through, and maybe they take a percentage, maybe they don't. Wise do, probably we don't.
Any percentage that company takes will be detrimental to the growth of the Dreamcatcher. Now, where does the money come from? I hear a million investors ask. The point of the whole system is that we use the company to build our software and generate revenue from that.
Right.
That's the point.
The company doesn't need to make a profit, because the company is there as a pipe. That's all it's there for.
It's a money pipe. It's simply a money pipe.
Yeah.
And so what I was planning to do was register a company in Hong Kong, register trademark. So Dreamcatcher Inc.
Yeah.
Just basically something that can sort of, it's like, this is the gateway. It'll probably look like that company has value in it. It doesn't. The value is in what's going through it, not what's held within it.
And it's a legal entity that can hold things, but doesn't actually accrue anything. Yeah.
And the business plan for that company is to allow, it's like Upwork, except it allows people to share the burden of projects and share the risk of building, and it may charge a small fee for doing that, for coordinating all that.
Yeah. Well, it charges the same fee or could charge the same fee that a QA would do, because there is I don't know how much it is annually to register a company in Hong Kong. In the UK, it's 125
it has some cost and it has some benefit, and the ambient attribution system ought to pay out to it somehow.
But it's wafer thin. It's wafer thin, or should be wafer thin. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then from there, we can allow for an investment vehicle to be set up in any other country that then uses its funds like a funder.
Right. Now, what are the rules for someone else sitting here listening to this saying, I want to set it up using Krugerrands that are hand delivered, or some, any other payment mechanism? What's their method for doing this? Because what I'm a bit wary about with setting up a company and one payment portal is that becomes de facto. Now, if it becomes de facto because the market that we're setting up prefers it, that's fine.
Oh, right.
But it can't be that's the only thing, by diktat. There needs
anyone can set up another one. Like there's other platforms like OFX, Revolut, I think, offers a similar type of capability. Someone else might want to be ballsy and use the traditional banking system without requiring a Wise account, and they will handle the KYC. It's sort of not our problem. We just want to get started with as little headache as possible. If other people want to make some money from providing a benefit to the community, fine. But the point is that we're all working on the Dreamcatcher network, which is the software running on IPFS that everyone can see and operate on, even if you're not a member, even if you're not a holder of Dreamcatcher bucks or whatever the fuck.
Right.
It
So
is.
the important point is we're not diluting the idea that this is a marketplace and the market will figure it out. This is our offer to the market, and we'll compete on the same.
Right. So the company itself is open to innovation to improve itself and to make duplicate or derived offerings.
Yep.
There's no benefit. It's not. We're not trying to protect anything in this company. It doesn't need a moat. It's it's there to be a utility. It's a service company that simply allows people to transact. We make our money from being one of the transactors, not from trying to levy a cut on the platform.
Yes, exactly. It's not platform wide. It's just our.
Yeah.
I mean, we happen to be first up, and so it looks like platform wide. But if 10 others come
Now,
in,
some curly things. To allow it to not be a money transmitter, the company has to look like it is the thing that is producing the software. So when you purchase services from this company, you are exchanging money for software, and the software comes from this company. When you are building, this company is paying you to build the software, and you have a relationship with this company. This is the curly bit. The curliest of all the bits is that the license for that software, whilst it will be GPL by default for us, the owner or the holder of the license is the company. And the reason is, if you have multiple funders, who is the entity that should hold that license? And the answer is there isn't one. And so the company has a bit of a magnanimous job to do, or burden to bear, where it needs to be the one that holds the license honorably.
Why can't it be many-to-many license holders?
Like, everyone's a license holder.
Yeah. Why does it need to be this company? Why does it need that burden? Because effectively what we're doing is we're offering the DPL, and we're offering off-the-shelf legal, which you can decide yourself.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. Yeah. So basically, if you were a funder of it, then you, at the point of construction, everyone is issued the rights to change the license to anything they like.
Yeah. Because you can fork the license that we're offering and change it.
Or we could even say that all the funders, when you produce that piece of software, the NFT that it represents is a DAO, and it has a voting structure.
Right.
And that's how you assign the license or do anything with the license, right?
Exactly. And you're just pulling something off the shelf, and you've got individual to individual in terms of legal entities. And if you've got a problem with that individual, then that's your surface. We don't need to amalgamate it.
Yep, that's cool. Okay, that works. And the model I keep running in my head is Upwork. We are Upwork, except we allow this collaboration and pooling, plus transparency
and forward apps, which is the huge thing. Yeah. That's the thing that
but the company is also responsible for. The company is on the hook for producing securities, and so it also needs to ensure the securities guardian is operating efficiently.
Yes. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So we're Upwork, but we can offer something that looks like securities, except we very strictly limit it so that it isn't. And
Yeah.
we make software.
And again,
Okay,
this
now-
is... Sorry, go ahead.
There's a bunch of scenarios that I want to check with you that aren't flawed by that entity.
Mhm.
When it comes time for customers to purchase the software, now in Upwork, there's no such thing, right? There's the
Right.
people buying the software and there's the people
It's a
building the
one-to-one
software.
transaction. Yeah.
Okay, and now we also want to involve the people purchasing the software and the people supporting the software too,
Mhm.
because supporting is a form of building
Yep.
and consuming is a form of funding.
Yep.
They are different, and the mechanism as such and the guarantees as such are different. And I envisage a way to let customers purchase from a pool where they put their money in, and then they buy the support. And if the group of workers deliver for, say, the month, then the workers get paid out the support fee.
Can you rewind about 30 seconds? So we were talking about the purchase and use of software which exists, and then we switched to support. I think I've probably heard you wrong.
Right. Well, when you buy, you don't really buy open source software as such. So I guess I should have, what I meant was purchasing the support of the software. So purchasing it like SaaS.
Right. Okay.
But we want to actually make that come from the Dreamcatcher. It's supported by the Dreamcatcher.
Okay.
Now here's an interesting scenario, okay? If I am an individual person and I want to go and work for a company, I don't want to deal with my own contracts. I say, you need to sign up to the Dreamcatcher. I'm signed up to the Dreamcatcher. The Dreamcatcher company manages the rules of this ecosystem, and you engage with me following those rules. We need to make that a much better proposition for both the purchaser and the contractor, so that the platform draws people in.
Right. So at the moment, the purchaser and the contractor, or the capital and the worker, effectively have a pull-down menu of which we've only got one contract at the moment, and they both sign up, and that's their thing. So the benefit of that, of course, is you don't need to drop your own contract. You don't, if you want to read through it, or you will read through it, anyone that's advertising that I'm DPL and you're DPL, great. We can just do business immediately without any of the overhead of having to figure out whether they've changed anything, because they can't change anything inside the DPL. If they want to fork it, that's fine, but then they have to advertise DPL changed. So that's it's not small. It's quite significant, but that's the only benefit at the moment. We're just doing off-the-shelf contracts where
right. But is there some benefit where the company actually holds some legal or some agreement between the parties and is the enforcer, like the arbitrator?
No. Why? You've just confused me.
Well,
why is it not the courts?
If someone breaks the DPL and it requires legal action, that requires cost and money.
Right.
I suppose that we should have pools set up for that, right? So
you're talking about effectively insurance. So the you've these two people advertise DPL, they both agree and contract on that. If it goes wrong, then it's the courts that sort it out. But there's a cost to that. Do we take a slice and insure against the costs of going to court in any particular jurisdiction? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, but I think when I said it out loud, I realized that again, that's not the company, that's the actual Dreamcatcher.
Right.
And
precisely.
Okay, now the next scenario is, what if a company needs to have a contractual relationship with a company? Is there a way in which this company could be used as the vehicle that takes on that responsibility?
Again, why would you want to? I mean, okay, right. If we take it one step up, this company could be the one that produces contracts that are available to advertise and agree on, and being an output would get ambient attribution for having gone through that, and say, this contract is good in the UK, this contract is good in New Zealand, whatever. But it's a pull down. But why would it go beyond that? Because the contract itself is just it's an output. So, and it's there for anyone to use. If they use it, some ambient attributions owed, but nothing more. There's no execution requirement, because the execution requirement goes into the course.
So the billing relationship would be between, like, because we're going prepaid only and escrowed only, there's no need to have a contractual promise to pay. It's like you either paid or you didn't. And that.
Yes, sort of. Sorry for cutting you off there. The escrow requirement is you pay into the company. The company holds it. The company therefore needs a contract to pay out. And that contract payout, so you're billing, is reflected
you actually have some rights from the company,
right? Yeah. So there's a relationship.
But it's like, we say that it's with the escrow, but actually the legal buck stops with the holding company.
Correct. Yep.
Right.
And what we need to do is make sure that the legal contract that you sign up to by putting money in through the escrow is exactly replicated into code, so that it's above reproach. It's like, you've agreed this QA, you've agreed this work, we can prove that, you've agreed this contract, all we're doing is being a pipe.
Okay.
But you're right, there is a contract relationship between capital and worker. Capital and holding company, and worker and holding company.
Yeah, and they can actually begin litigation if we breach our agreement. So the company does need to take a skim to sort of build up its war chest, I guess.
And that's reasonable. And it would
that
because it's algorithmic
inside of the Dreamcatcher,
yeah,
as opposed to inside of the company.
Right, and this actually comes back to one of the questions I was going to raise: is why would anyone trust us? Two random dudes on the other side of the globe. Why would they trust us? Now, I would say they would trust us that we publish the contract and we publish the code, and we promise to the world that if you sign up, that contract is executed by that code, and we're not going to.
I mean, look, this is going to have initially be growing organically, and it's basically, we know that every company we go to talk to, they want to do something with us.
Yeah.
And it's basically relying on giving us a way to actually go out there and deal with that, take the fucking cap off of that pool of money that's just itching.
And I think it would be reasonable that the holding companies, I don't know if it's solely this or whether it has other operations, but it is the escrow service we've been talking about. An escrow service is a service. It's owed something.
No, it's not. It is legally responsible for the escrow service. It backs the money that's in everyone's accounts, but it's not just escrow. It's also like your standing balance.
Oh, right. Ah, yes. Yes. Oh, those are two different things, aren't they?
Yeah, mind you, we could actually do it as you say, and we could make it so that the Wise account we can show your balance to everyone if you allow it, but it's only once you commit to proposing a contract that you transfer the money to us, because like the fucking fees to send it within Wise are so fucking tiny and it's so instant that like
Yeah. You're right on. So you've got your Wise account. We're saying if you want to interact with this escrow service, and this escrow service is advertised by the first pool, then you've got your account. Your account is with Wise. We don't know anything about it. As soon as you agree to the escrow is triggered when you transfer it to the escrow account that we hold, or the Hong Kong company holds. And
that is where the legal contract terms come in, because we owe you something. Then we owe you the correct execution of the escrow legal contract, which will be run by the escrow code.
Right. Yeah, and what we're saying is there's skin in the game.
Of that request or idea actually will come into the contract if it's like, no, they didn't do what they said, and we're like,
right, precisely. And so what the escrow holding company's skin in the game is, someone is going to jail if we offer this version of the DPL and saying this is what we're going to do, and you sign up to that by moving money over. And then the code has got to execute that. And if we rug pull, there needs to be some skin in the game. Otherwise, people are not going to have confidence in it. You know,
so you'd ultimately be coming after the directors of the company.
Right, precisely.
Yeah, that's where the buck stops. Okay,
and cool. that's why it's worth a fee as well. Because someone could come for reasons.
That fee should be managed inside the Dreamcatcher, not inside the company.
Yes. Yep. Precisely.
Okay. And that would be part of the legal pools that would start to form, which would do different services, where I think I need a different word for this kind of pool. It's like an insurance. Yes. Can you give me a word for an insurance pool?
Is it insurance or is it assurance?
Let's just call it. Well,
yeah, okay. I'll think about that.
It's insurance. It's insurance because it pays out when there's an exception. So, for example, the insurance pool for the escrow contract of the company would charge a fee every time someone used the service. And when there was an exception, like someone raised a legal dispute, those pooled funds would be used to quash or defend.
So it's like a guarantor, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's a pool of money that the concept is the same as what I want to do for selling the software, which is that you pay your monthly fees or your per usage fees into this insurance pool, whereby there's some agreement of what quality of service you're going to get.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't get it, then that pool pays out either to you as a compensatory reward, or that pool is used to incentivize people to do the support for you. So the people who are supplying support for the software are charging that insurance pool.
Right.
When there's a pool.
Right. So it's almost like a. Is what you're saying? You don't have to go to court if you apply to this escrow holding company, and the QA inside of that escrow company agrees with you. Then they'll pay out. What you think?
That's different. That's still covered by our normal operations of pool and escrow for software. This insurance notion is different. This is what happens when you're buying support, I think. And it's different because it takes money from customers, holds it for a period of time, and then releases it to all those who made themselves available to fix the faults during that time. So if it was a monthly subscription, to pick a really simple example, the money would come in advance from the customer. It'd be held in the insurance pool for, say, let's call it 2 months. And then at the end, it would be paid out to the workers who placed themselves on call and could prove that they were on call.
Yes. Yeah.
But there's a very different nature to the.
It's not quite insurance because there might be no fault.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so let's just call that insurance for now until you come up with a better word for it.
Yeah.
But that's the model that I want to check for customers buying the software from us.
Yeah.
Because what I want is that I don't want a system where you turn up and you got this idea and you're like, hey, and then okay, this Dreamcatcher thing meant that I only put in $100. I saw $100,000 worth of software development get done, and now I got this cool thing. Now I better go start a company. Like that sucks. I should be able to it should become a company from the day it fucking first turned on.
Right.
The day someone found it useful, it should be able to be insured or purchased.
Right.
Where some of that money goes to pay for future development, some of it goes for maintenance, some of it goes for customer service. It's like that. That's what I want.
Yeah.
I want when you make a Dreamcatcher app, it's like built by Dreamcatcher, supported by Dreamcatcher, managed by Dreamcatcher. It's like the network does it for you, not like, thanks, I got my piece of software, I'm now off to try and earn something with it. No, we want you to stay in the ecosystem.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And my questions that I've been trying to lead up to is that we probably want to charge for that using Stripe and credit cards. Right?
Sure. I mean, that's just low friction, right? I mean, it doesn't actually matter, but it's low friction.
Herein comes a bit of a mixing of the oceans, where you got Stripe money coming into Wise money.
Well, there's going to be overhead for that. I don't know what it is, but I mean, sure. I mean, I don't see any problem with that. Top of my head.
No.
I mean,
it feels to me like the customer relationship requires less KYC and AML than the funder and the builder relationship.
Sorry about that. Sorry, can you repeat the last 20 seconds?
The customer relationship seems to require less KYC and AML than the funder and the builder relationship, because the amounts of money are less. The regular payments, as opposed to lump sums, there's zero chance of it being a security.
Yep. Yes, I agree. I agree.
But it comes in as a credit card, which means it can be reversed, which means it could be fraudulent. It's got all these other different properties attached to it.
Right. And there are other ways of doing it, but that seems to be a low friction, good way of doing it, because we're effectively offloading a lot of the KYC, all the KYC, because if you set up a e-commerce website, you don't need KYC, you just need payment processing.
Right. And one of the benefits that we're passing on is that in the Dreamcatcher network, if you start your app project this way, you don't have to worry about the KYC either.
Yeah.
But the real money that we're trying to get to is the fact that between one app, let's say it was, I don't know, a rubbish collection app, and another app that was, say, I don't know, a journalist publication app, you want the same users. So the customer should be having one billing relationship where it's to the Hong Kong company Stripe account.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
and are able to pay for an arbitrary number of Dreamcatcher powered apps, right?
Yeah, we need to write a request for this. Essentially, what we're doing is okay. So at the moment, we've got the request ID R10I11, which is the operation of a pool from dust through to output. We're extending that into how does a pool then organize itself in order to sell the output or make
I think it's a
provide
different
service.
it's a different architecture. This insurance model.
It could well be actually, but the kind of the notional flow. It might not be the same entities, but the notional flow is the output of the. Sorry, I'm over indexing on output. The result of going through the process, the pool process, is outputs. Those outputs then, in order to make some kind of cash, need to go into another flow, and this is what we're talking about. How do those actually receive money and disperse?
Yeah, I mean, the model might not be so different. Actually, it might just simply be the addition of time, where like you can in the pools as we've defined them, you cannot complete anything by just some time went by. Whereas in the insurance style pool, you allow the addition of time lapse, which is like job done if 1 month went by and no faults were reported. Like that's
Well, okay. Here's a. Yes, they are different. It doesn't need an output, does it? Okay, so
it can be just time or
yeah.
no exceptions or things like that.
Here's a thought experiment then. So I offer up a service that is I'm going to answer my phone and say nice things to you in kanji. This is a service that you want. I'm going to provide that service for 1 month. There's no outputs there other than my availability for that service.
Yeah, availability. So you could sort of turn it into like a mining of a token where like we could test people for their availability periodically, randomly based on an algorithm. You can be said to be mining. If you've parked yourself in the queue, you meet the mining challenge every so often, and then you will earn some of the pool's winnings. So that seems like it's easy to draw up.
Service is a service.
Yeah, pretty much, man.
Yeah.
Because where I want to get to with all of this, after we've got through all the weeds that are ahead of us, like basically this whole jungle plus a mountain and then a volcano with an earthquake on the other side, once we're there, we need to get into service as a software, which is where the software is like near free, dirt cheap,
Right.
but it connects up services and we cut that or we supply that. Because like, how does this pooling mechanism work? Could you run Uber in this way, where there's like bids and asks and escrows and all that going on, and
Well,
you could
sure
actually
you could.
run a
Sure you could.
ride service,
Yeah. Actually, it's really interesting.
right? And then there's also like there's availability that comes into that as well. Like, are you available? And can you prove you are available? Did you provide coverage? All those kinds of things. I don't think they're impossible for us to map out, but that's where I want to get to. Is that the software should be free, and it should be paid for by the services that conduit through it.
I mean, those are two. They're subtly different. Those two, but I think they're probably under the same process, isn't it? So with Uber, you're not paying for the availability, but what you are doing is doing an offer and acceptance, and then delivery through escrow.
Yeah, and then it allows like more of a free market Uber with more conditions, and people can write their own apps on top of it and all this sort of thing.
Right, but it's
'Cause,
not
like,
it's
when
not
you allow-
just rideshare, is it? I mean, it could be anything.
Anything.
Yeah.
Once you allow apps to be written on top of a basic contractual method, like shit explodes real quick from there. You're like,
I know.
I don't know.
This is
Who
what we
knows where
discovered
that
about
goes.
4 months ago when we were writing the DPL, wasn't it? It's actually we've spent all this time thinking about the code and the structure. Actually, it's a legal structure.
Well, it's both really, because the legal structure is stated with
is
the
a reflection.
implicit assumption that you have reliable execution on hand.
Right, and is that reflect? You're quite right. Sorry, I was being a bit flippant there. It's a reflection of the legal structure in code,
Yeah.
which gives people confidence.
Which reminded me actually that R10 and I11 are not too dissimilar from the current legal system, actually, because they're basically like it's a paper-based system that achieves these certain quite powerful goals.
Really? Sorry, go into that a bit.
Yeah. Well, there's nothing really automated about the legal system. The judicial system runs on paper,
Yeah, yeah.
right? R10, I11, they run on paper.
Oh, I see what
So-
you're saying. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I think my last question is, finally, if you had customers that were paying with a credit card, some monthly usage fee, and you had funders and builders that had built some software, and you had people who were supporting it, how does the money submitted via a credit card purchase be dispersed through ambient attribution to the funders and the builders and the supporters when they have Wise accounts? We took the money in from Stripe, and then we made these mass dispersals.
It's I don't know.
You know,
That doesn't
money
sound too.
laundering, anyone?
That sounds complex, but not
That's
complicated.
almost money transmission,
It's a
except we
clearinghouse.
need to package it
Yeah, it's a clearinghouse.
like wages or things.
Yeah, it's just a clearinghouse, isn't it? So everyone pays into the escrow, and the escrow disperses based on algorithm.
Oh, right. Okay. So if we model it as escrow right from the start,
Yeah,
then it's really like the money comes in, it goes into escrow. Then when it gets released, we take our cut. All the ambient attribution is paid out, including the people.
right. So and
Now,
also,
have we just paid a royalty?
no,
No. Are you sure?
yeah, because the holding company doesn't own the asset that's been traded. The royalty is owed between the owner of the output and the consumer of the output. It's nothing to do with. This is
But
just
no.
a
Well, that's
clearinghouse.
even worse because now we're a money transmitter because we passed money through.
Yeah. That sounds a
That's
lot like
worse.
what's happening, though. Why is it worse?
Being a money transmitter requires a whole new level of compliance. We don't want to be a money transmitter, and I'm pretty sure we're not. We basically, if we are the entity that ultimately supplied the software to the consumer, then this payment should be us paying our wage bill.
Right. Okay. Well, in that case, I'm not swept up enough on the rules around money transmission. However, what you're suggesting, it
Well,
seems
basically,
to be,
it's as simple as what you just said. You're like, the relationship is between the consumer and the builder, and you're passing the money through. That's money transmission.
yeah. However, the money transmission is actually going through Wise. All we're doing is triggering their API.
Because it was escrowed with us, we touched it.
Okay. Well, the alternative is.
I think
Who holds
it's
the-
actually as simple as like we take it, we hold it. Our dispersal is like our wage bill because we take some of that money as ourselves. We're paying out that's our wage bill effectively because that's totally legit for
Yeah.
a company that's supplying software to do. They got to pay their workers. We're paying the workers.
But is this a software company that actually holds the rights to the software? So,
Well, that's sort of why I was saying. That's why I thought that it needed to avoid being a transmitter because otherwise it's transmitting money because it's transmitting rights. But whereas if it's holding rights, and I think that's totally okay if it's open source software, but if it's holding rights, then it's not transmitting money because it's not transmitting rights.
Right. And so when you produce an output, the escrow holds more than cash then. The escrow company holds rights to what's produced in that pool, and deals therefore with the transmission of money from the use of those rights. And so then it's similar. It's a pipe again, isn't it? But the end consumer uses the software or uses the services, and the relationship there is with the company, and then the company.
Yeah, so we might need to
payment.
get some legal advice on that. Like, is that considered money transmission or not? Because
I have no foggies.
the model truly is we're paying our workers, and
Right.
the fact that we pay them instantly shouldn't make a difference that it is actually us paying our workers.
Yeah.
Now, does that mean we have to be the ones holding the rights? Dunno. Does that mean that we have to be the one holding the billing arrangement? Maybe.
Oh shit! This might
Right,
be
like,
complex actually.
did the customer actually sign up to be billed by Dreamcatcher Inc. in exchange for services supplied by Dreamcatcher Inc.? Probably. And in which case, the license of the software is irrelevant.
It is, but then are we kind of steering into problems such as holiday and sickness pay?
Oh fuck no, I'm not getting into that. We need to not be that.
We need advice.
Whatever.
I mean, that's the big thing. I don't know if it's same done with you, but in the UK at the moment, Uber the courts have ruled that regardless that this is a self-serve app in both directions, they have legal responsibility for sickness pay, for employment rights, and so on if that person is actually using that app in order to make an income. So we have to be real careful here. I don't know. This is way outside my legal expertise by a long way.
Yeah, well, look, if a jurisdiction wants to squash us like that, we'll just go somewhere else. Because one of the benefits is we're multinational. We can basically operate on the internet and be anywhere we want. When you're Uber, you gotta be on the ground.
There, aren't you?
You're in a jurisdiction,
Yeah.
and you're under those rules. One of the best things about Wise and why I'm so pro Wise is that any given banks are rooted in a jurisdiction, whereas Wise is natively international. And so you know that you're not going to get caught by any stupid local rule because they actually see all jurisdictions and they know how it all works.
They've dealt with all the stupid local rules.
Yeah, they've dealt with it all and made it uniform, and they deserve to get paid for that.
Yeah.
So that's why I like them. I also like Hong Kong because it's like very international.
I love Hong Kong because it's just an awesome place.
So we'll just basically, it'll take a little bit of sort of fiddling around, but we'll basically go wherever treats us best, and we'll work in jurisdictions that treat us well. So,
and we can always switch.
Yeah, I think what I wanted to get out of this conversation, I did get, which is that you're not saying that anything in this structure blocks any of our goals.
No, I think it's entirely congruent. I see no. I think I'm
going to have to go now. Sorry to be so.
No worries. No worries.
I can keep talking. I can keep talking, but it's probably in overtime, and I may have to leave at any given.
No. Leave in good time so that we can get another call and so on. Okay, so my availability. I'm going to stop the stream now.
Hang on. We'll wait. Wasn't there some other stuff you wanted to?
Yes, there was. There was the piss pitch, and but it's if you got to go now, it's more. It's more of a conversation.
No. Like, when I have to go, it will be abrupt, and I'm apologizing in advance.
All right. Okay. Right. So what I was trying to do is get a piss pitch that I could text someone, and the reason this came up is done a couple 5-minute. Highly informal. So in both cases, I've done 2 of them now. Basically, Jude and I are out for meals, and we like talking to people. seems to be that there's a lot of finance guys in Edinburgh, so we end up talking to a finance guy. There's always a question, so what do you do? It's like, well, okay, let me tell you about Dreamcatcher. And in those 5 minutes, I'm essentially talking about bringing the permissionless 4 arrows in, and comparing that to the overheads of trying to do a startup where you're hiring unitary people as opposed to skills. You're not hiring for outputs. You're not buying for outputs. That unitary person is probably not the best to do all the things that you need to do, because necessarily you've got to fill 40 hours a week for that person. They're incentivized actually to do as little as possible to keep their job, because that's just the nature of it. The capital is incentivized to inspect and hoard, and the entire organization is incentivized to hoard ideas. However, if you broadcast your demand to anyone permissionless, and you can have permissionless capital coming in, what you get is a far, far more efficient process where the people with the skills can do micro tasks or small tasks that they're really fucking good at, and they could be anywhere in the world. The capital can look at the points that specifically they want to be made. In terms of the market, you can say that specifically what you want in terms of the request, and someone can respond to an idea without you doing anything. And all of it is managed through ambient attribution, so everyone feels confident that they're going to get fair dues. That's essentially the pitch. Now, the question, there's a huge amount I've missed out on that one, but that was essentially the pitch, and it was that long. I'm just giving you what they're saying. And in both cases, they've gone, really? What? Fucking hell, that's really good. And both have followed up saying, can I see more on this? Which is why it's like I was sending over the URL. Now, my question really is there anything substantial that I've missed out on that pitch that would fit, that if we were to limit ourselves to 140 characters, say, is there anything that needs to be in there? Because that pitch seems to be quite powerful with finance guys. Well, 2 finance guys to be precise. Both of them have immediately gone to, oh shit, yeah, so you're not capitalist, you're not communist, you're somewhere in between.
That doesn't work for laborers, right? That's not a laborer's pitch.
That's true. That is true. But I'm talking to...
It's also not a customer's pitch, like a person who wants to just consume software.
Okay. So... Again,
that's a financier's pitch.
It is. So I guess I could rephrase that with the all 4. So that's 1. That's capital. I could rephrase it for the other 3. Say if we expand our real estate to say that we could have 4 texts to explain this.
Yeah, it depends on who you're talking to, because they're always weighted a different way.
Yeah,
I think somehow or other, higher than all of those aspects is the company as code part, where like software-defined companies, it's like, well, we have software-defined infrastructure. That took a while. Software-defined radio, software-defined networking, software-defined, you fucking name it. But there's been very little software-defined company.
Yeah, sorry, go on.
But basically, that's kind of our offering. I think that's how it relates to the current technical zeitgeist. It's like everything starting as code.
I think that pitch works with techies because they get it. I'm not sure it would work with these guys. So they're self-professed non-techs, and you say software defined, and immediately you think, well, that's like okay, why is that a good thing?
Yeah, okay. True. And most people might not appreciate the subtlety of why that's essential.
Exactly. The one thing that these guys...
I think we constantly have this problem where we can't find the right pitch because there isn't one. There's probably 4.
Yes. The one thing that they really triggered on is when I was saying that people were incentivized, everyone around the table was incentivized to output stuff. That
right. Well, that's good, right? Because that's sort of like that's ambient attribution.
Yeah.
would we consider launching Dreamcatcher Inc. with the ability to first of all do closed source software?
It's. I think we could.
Don't see why not.
I don't see why not.
Yeah.
It's kind of
Okay,
irrelevant.
and now
It's kind of irrelevant.
would
whether
you
it's closed or open.
allow non-ambient attribution?
Well, no. Closed source with, let's say, if we were to model a normal company, a standard company, all that company is doing is providing the capital and effectively buying the royalty rights, as it were, the ambient attribution from the workers. So it's 100% escrow. So you're getting paid for all your time, and you agree that anything that would be due to you is now going to go to the capital provider. And
Right,
that's
but
a standard
I
company.
guess, is there a benefit or a negative impact on us allowing for Dreamcatcher Inc. to be used to make closed source software with old-fashioned conventional share-based attribution? Because in code, that's trivial. That's probably simpler than ambient attribution.
There is only one thing, but it's also down to the execution of that. Our choice is reuse. Because typically a company wants to keep its product and stop others from using it.
We kind of, I think we want to, I actually think we want to enable closed, provided someone asks for it. And we'll charge them for it, of course, because if you're going to be closed, you better pay. And then it actually makes a lot of use because we can say that the one thing you can't, in Facebook, even when you have a private profile, you can't block that you actually have a profile. You can just block aspects about it.
Right.
And so if you made a closed source conventional company with closed doors, we would still publish how much money went into you, how much came out. If we held your customer relationships for you, how much money was moving in. And the idea would be that hopefully we can show that the closed models don't work as well as the open ones.
I mean, that'd be trivial to think about. I don't know about coding, but trivial to think about. Really, what you're doing there is saying, right, our aim is complete transparency and complete fairness through ambient attribution, and you can lock off bits of that. So that, say, transparency is your friends list, effectively your suppliers and your customers.
Yeah, right. And you can actually have network style permissioning on who can see in and what.
Right.
And you could even modify ambient attribution. Because I don't think that it's for us to say what you should do, but bear in mind that this system allows anyone else to have an opinion on you.
Right.
And ambient attribution is formed as like a statistical mean of all of those opinions.
Yeah.
But
I think there's a floor.
if you override that, it'll look bad. It'll look weird.
There is a floor, which is complete opacity, as in you don't tell anyone about any of it. I think you can't do that.
Yeah, we can't do that. We're gonna show that you're there, and we're gonna show where the money moved for you, and all that. But that's it.
Yeah,
I gotta bounce, man.
No worries, man.
Bounce.
Nice, it was a good one.
Sorry.
Yep.
Thanyou.
Yeah.
Later.
Tomorrow is Jude's birthday. Friday is Stu's.
Okay.
I can do Thursday, if you want.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Sounds good.
See you, man.
See you.